Today I want to talk to you about storms. And I want to see if, I read this story in this book written by Max Lucado. It's In the Eye of the Storm. And he begins his book with this story that I think is just very, very appropriate, and maybe you can relate to it. It's this lady that had this pet parakeet. And things were going well that day. It was a beautiful day outside. The parakeet was singing and happy, and everything was going along really fine until his owner decided that, you know what, it's time to clean the cage. And so, as she's cleaning the cage, she got a little frustrated, and so she decided that, you know what I'll do? I can make this work a whole lot better if I use a vacuum cleaner to clean the cage. So she begins using the vacuum cleaner, and she realizes that, you know what, it'll work even better. Things will go even quicker. They'll flow better if I take off the attachment. And so she takes off the attachment, and lo and behold, the phone rings. She moves her hand, and she hears, swoop. Guess what?
Bird's gone.
The little bird's named Chappie. Chappie is now in the vacuum cleaner. So, of course, you know, as a concerned bird owner would do, she immediately stops the vacuum cleaner, throws down the phone, runs and opens the vacuum cleaner bag and goes to the bag, and there she finds little Chappie still breathing and alive, but just absolutely inundated with soot and dirt and so on. And so in her terror, she runs, of course, like any bird owner would, to the bathroom. And in the bathroom, she then holds Chappie under the water to make sure that, you know, she kind of gets all the stuff out of his feathers. You know, the poor bird, she didn't want him to inhale all this stuff or swallow this stuff. So she's wrenching Chappie off. And finally, when she gets Chappie all rinsed off, she realized that the bird is just shivering because she, of course, did it in cold water. So Chappie is just absolutely freezing, and she couldn't have Chappie freezing, and so the next step, she went and immediately, to take care of the situation, she then opened the bathroom cabinet, and of course you know what you find in bathroom cabinets. She opened up the cabinet, and she found her hair dryer, and then she took her hair dryer, plugged it in, and turned it on poor Chappie. So the bird has been taken into a vacuum cleaner, been doused in water, has been almost burned by the hair dryer, and then her friend on the phone says, I heard all the commotion, how's Chappie? She says, well, he just kind of sits there, and he just doesn't sing anymore. The bird has lost its song. Maybe you've had days like Chappie has. Maybe, you know, you were minding your business, things are going along pretty good, and then all of a sudden you get that phone call from the doctor. You get the phone call from your kid's school. You go out and try to start the car doesn't start. You go to the mailbox and you have a pink slip from your job. Your child is arrested because they decided to do something a little dumb. You get news that one of your kids is living a lifestyle that you don't want them to live. Just 10 minutes ago, life was okay. Just 10 minutes ago. And then all of a sudden, it just went to heck. Isn't it amazing? That's how storms happen. And it seems as if when they come, they really come. And when they come, they really come. And it's not just one thing, it's many things. Many things. So how do we manage the storm? What is the protection that we have that allows us to continue to live in light of all of these things that happen to us every day? What I'm going to submit to you today, that I'm going to challenge you to find the secret place. Find the secret place. Now, I listened this week, in the last week, so I've been listening to a lot of songs on the secret place. And some songs will lead you to believe that the secret place is a place where you can go. But it isn't a place where you can go. The secret place is where you and God are. That's your secret place. I was listening to one artist, take me there, take me there. I'm going like, all you have to do is you have to go there. It isn't a matter of God taking you there, you just have to go there. Because it's there wherever God is. And so today I want to talk about finding the secret place. I want to help you to find the secret place. I want to submit to you that you can find the secret place no matter what's going on in your life. You can find that secret place, and I'll tell you what's there. I'm going to use Psalm 91, just verses 1 and 2, to help you see the advantages that you have and the benefit from being in the secret place. So our text is Psalm 91, 1 and 2. And so we'll go ahead and look at that. Verse 1 is, thank you, I got it. Whoever dwells in the secret place of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Let me tell you some words right quick that's very important in this psalm. This is a very popular psalm. Many of you have memorized part of this psalm. You know this is the psalm that the Satan quoted to try to trip up Jesus. Interesting. But here in this psalm it says, He who dwells, and we'll deal with some of these words later, so I won't go there. I want you to see there are 4 names of God in this in 2 verses, 4 names of God. And the way the psalmist uses the names of God, they are absolutely significant. We could just say God all the way through, but that's not, because the psalm is actually, the psalmist is describing his experience with God. Now, some theologians believe that David wrote it. Matter of fact, in the Septuagint, which is a translation of the Old Testament into Greek, they actually attribute this psalm to David. But in our look, we don't know if David wrote it or not. So therefore, for us, it is anonymous. We don't know who wrote it. It has a lot of experiences that David would seem to then agree with the life and experience of David, but we cannot with surety say that David wrote this song. But it sounds like something he would write. It's related to a lot of songs that he's written. First of all, I want you to look at the first word that they have for God is Most High. El Elyon, which is basically saying that God who is the strongest of the strong, God who is over all, God who right-sizes and downsizes everything else around him. So in other words, no matter how large the problem or the situation seems, in the light of God, He is the Most High, and He brings everything else down to its proper size. When we look at trials and tribulations sometimes, we want to, it's so big and large. But in the eyes of God, not even that big. Most High. So know that He downsizes everything and brings it under control. Notice it says, the shadow of the Almighty. This is El Shaddai. And this is the common and familiar name that's found in the Old Testament. And it's specifically when the children of Israel were going through the desert. This is a God that hovers over. This is the picture of God who provides and directs and leads the way. The one who cast over, El Shaddai. Wherever you are, you can find Him. By day and by night, He is there for you, to lead you and guide you on the right path. El Shaddai. In the next verse, we have said of the Lord, and now this Lord should be capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D. This is Yahweh. This is the reference in Exodus 3:14 of I am that I am. It's the I am. It's the permanent one. It's the ever-existing one. It's the one who's imminent, the one who's close, the one who's right with you, the one who will never leave you or forsake you. When Moses asked, I need a name. He said, I am. Remember in John 8:58, Jesus said, before Abraham was, I am. Referring back to Exodus 3:14. I am. I've always existed. I've always been here. I will never abandon you. You are never alone, regardless of what your situation says. I'm here. The Lord. And then we have El, God, here. And usually God is, my God, here he is, my God, the great and powerful ally. And so 4 names of God. Why? Because the psalmist is trying to make an impression on us that there is none greater than God. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? I am no longer a slave to fear. I'm a child of God. Now you see how the songs tie in this morning. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Rhetorical question. The answer is no one. You can survive any storm. I want to teach you today about the protection that will help you to withstand any storm. It's available to you. You just have to find the secret place. So let me help you find the secret place. 5 points today. Now today what I will do is I will go through, it's a sub-point and so on, so you'll be able to follow your notes today. I will make sure I do that, okay? Now one of these weeks I'm going to come and you're not going to have notes. See how you fare that week. When my life sometimes is like Chappie's, how do I find the secret place? Number 1, I find the secret place because I make plans during times of calm. I make plans during times of calm. I make plans during times that are calm. In Matthew 25, we have an interesting story. We have the story of the 10 young ladies attending the wedding feast, the 10 young virgins, that story, and their lamps. Now we have 5 that are wise and 5 that are foolish. The only difference between the 5 wise and the 5 foolish is because the 5 wise, they were prepared. They had oil. The 5 foolish were called foolish is because they did not have enough oil. They did not prepare. There is a time when it is too late to prepare. It is a time when it's just too late, and if you're not prepared, you're going to miss out. That was interesting. So how do I find a secret place? I make plans when nothing has happened. I make plans when my life is calm. I make plans when everything is going all right. First of all, you need to engage in the power. Engage in the power preparation. It is so good to be prepared. You know, that's why at many funeral homes and establishments, they ask you, they try to encourage you to do a pre-need or pre-preparation or pre-arrangements. Because what it does is it allows you to make decisions when your mind is clear, not when you're emotional. Because when you're emotional, many times we make crazy decisions. Amen? Amen. The worst time to make a decision and go to grocery shopping is when you are hungry. We went to Sam's the other day. Everything looked good. Even the dried apricots look good. Everything looked good. I told Evelyn, I said, I shouldn't be here today. Everything looks good. But engage in the power of preparation. If you're not going through a storm, guess what? You will be going through one. If you're ending one, another one is coming. Sometimes what happens is you have a storm on back of a storm, on back of a storm, on back of a storm. You have to be prepared. There's no time to breathe. Ease your transition anxiety. Ease your transition anxiety. What you want to be able to do is, as soon as that happens, you want to transition to the secret place. It's just like people in the Midwest. They know that that the time to build the shelter for tornadoes isn't in the hour when they get the notification that a tornado is on its way. That's way too late, amen? When they know that it's on its way, it's the time to run to the shelter. It's not a time to build a shelter. It's a time to run to one. The time in order that we might find that secret place with God is not when we're in trouble. It's when, at times like now, when we establish that spot, when we establish that relationship, when we're fully exploiting that time with God and knowing God and God knowing us and God filling our hearts and our life with himself, so much so that it is a naturalized connection. That's your third point. Naturalize your process so that it is just natural. It's natural for you to run to God. When it's natural, it's a part of the fiber of your being. You will do it reflexive, just it's a reflex. You'll just do it. You've gone to the doctor there, and they're checking you out in the physical, and they put you up there, and I hate this test, of course, because I have bad knees. And the doctor takes this, this triangular thing. It looks that big to me. I don't know, it's not, but it looks that big because it hurts like it is. And then he hits it into my knee. I want to exaggerate it, give him one, but See now, even if I'm looking at it, even if I'm trying to prevent it, when he hits it in the right spot, that is how our connection to run to God in times of storm needs to be. It needs to be natural. It needs to be a reflex. It needs to happen without us thinking about it. No, it's like instantly. Because storms come immediately. Without your life, emotional storms, physical storms, job storms, financial storms come without a warning. There's no early warning detection system. It's interesting, even with earthquakes, we try to have early warning. You know what? An earthquake happens and we go oh, we missed it. Why? Because that's how storms come. Think about man and how good we are at predicting storms. Think about how many times this winter they predicted, we have rain. And it was sunshine, it was nice. Storms come. And you know what? Some of you are saying, well, my life is so good that, I don't deserve a storm. The storms are not that you deserve it. Storms is that God is trying to get something done because he allows the storm. He allows the storm. So, if we're going to find the secret place, the first thing we need to do is make plans during calm times. If we're going to find the secret place, number 2, we have to understand that visitors cannot access this protection. This is not a place for visitors. The secret place is not a place for visitors. The secret place is a place for residents. Now, as we go on trips, and especially if we drive a long way, many of us sometimes will pull into a hotel or a motel or whatever they call it. We'll pull into some place or even a rest stop. Now, you can go there, but that's only a temporary habitation. You're not going to stay there. It's not your spot. That's not your bed. How many of you know when you get in that bed, it's not your bed? Amen? Amen. Sometimes it's hard to sleep on a road because you get in the bed and it just doesn't feel right because it's not yours. It's not the place you're comfortable with. See, unless you get comfortable in your place with God, it's just not comfortable. You won't stay there long. It's not for visitors. It's for folks who will come in and take up a residence. Let's look at our text. Whoever dwells in the shelter, the secret place of the Most High, will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. What I did is took the NIV version and I accidentally put in the images and metaphor of the King James Version, which I love the King James Version on this verse because it is so poetic. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Later on, it talks about feathers and being covered with feathers. See, here's what you have to understand. It's not a place for visitors. Think about for a second the holy place, the holy of holy places, the holy of holies, inside where the tabernacle of God. Think about this imagery just for a second. You have the cherubim which are on top of the lid, right? That spread from one wall to their wings. One wing was 10 feet this way, touching the other one's wing. That was all the way to that wall, so that the whole place where it was sitting was that it was touched by wings. They touched each other's wings, and they touched the walls with their wings. And in between them was the Ark of the Covenant. It was a picture and a symbol of God's abiding protection, of the cherubim protecting totally. But then everybody couldn't go in there. Only the high priest could go in there, and only one time of year. It was a cherished and special place. Not anybody could go in there. Not anybody could go. Not anybody could enter. Shelter or secret place. A shelter or a secret place is a place where, in this sense, it looks at the ability of God to protect. A secret place in the sense that it's not a place where no one can find it, but it's a place where those who are residences, they live there. They know where it is. There's no hidden door. There's no trap door. There's no secret handshake or anything like that. It is a sense of being. It's a sense of a mind, a mental concept that puts us in the place where we have total and absolute trust in God. Whoever dwells there. Now here, dwells here, the word dwells here means actually to sit down. Dwell means to sit down. In Psalm 1, we talked about, he that walketh, standeth, and seat. Well, here, sitting down is a place of finding a place or being permanent. Now in Psalm 1 it talks about a person who is doing evil and now kind of steps and sits in evil. But I want you to use the same concept of sitting in the sense of what God means for you to sit down. But first of all, you got to present your credentials. Present your credentials. What are your credentials? Your credentials are in Christ. Because you're in Christ. Without Christ, you cannot enter this place. That's why people without Christ never enter this place. Because you just don't trust Him. People who are wavering never enter this place. Because you don't trust Him. Your credentials are this. Your credentials are based upon your friendship with God. I am a friend of God. Your friendship with God. You necessarily don't have to call God your friend. God calls you His friend. It's good for God to identify you as His friend. Now, if God doesn't know you, He can't call you friend. See, everybody can't go there. You may know someone else's name, and just because you know someone else's name doesn't mean that you know that person, that you are a friend, that you have a relationship. This place is only arrived at if you have a relationship. And I don't mean that every now and then. No, I mean an abiding, fervent relationship. It's like in a marriage, how you speak every day, you talk every day, you're intimate, how you know one another, you love one another, you pursue one another. Intimacy, fellowship, understanding, conversation, time spent. That's how you're sitting. Some of us are so disquiet and everything. We're just so jittery. We just don't have time to sit down. Remember Mary and Martha? Jesus said, you know what Mary's doing is better. I'm not going to take away what Mary's doing, Martha. Martha, you need to quit your fidgeting and running around and looking for all these other ways to please me and just sit down. Sometimes we're so busy in the doing that we spend no time being or becoming. The psalmist says, he who dwells, he who comes in and sits down, and sits not only in any chair, but the thing about this text here is, he who sits in their own chair. How can you have your own chair at the hotel? You can only have your own chair over somebody else's house. But it's got to be your house. my sister's house in New York. There's a bedroom. It's my bedroom. Now, I'm in California, but that's my bedroom. Nobody sleeps in that room. Nobody goes in that room. See, that's my bedroom. See, I've taken residence there. And when I go there, I sleep in my bed. I go in my closet. I go into my dresser. Because, see, I've taken residence there. I've learned how to come in and sit down and be there. And it's based on the credentials of friendship and fellowship and relationship. But that's not all. There's one more step. You got to come in and you got to unpack all your things. You got to come in and unpack. See, it's not a temporary thing. It's not I'm here today, gone tomorrow. No, you come in and you unpack. You know, sometimes when you're on vacation, you go to someone else's house. I know what I do is I don't always unpack. I only take out the things that I need while I'm there. But when I go to Buffalo and I totally unpack. I put my stuff in drawers. I put my stuff away. Why? Because I'm going to live there for a while. I'm a resident. This is what we need to do with God. We need to come in and unpack and show that we're there. That we're not just running there, we're in trouble, but it is a situation where I am abiding. Abiding means to take up residence. It's to be there. It's to live there. It's to declare that as the place where you stay. It's getting and adopting a new address. Your address is in heaven. Let's get an address. Finding the secret place. It is making plans during the time when your life is calm. It is understanding that visitors can't go into the secret place. Number 3 is making a choice to apply the benefit. Making a choice to apply the benefit. Now, an interesting thing with God is regardless of our situation, we always have a choice. We always have a choice. We always have a choice. So it's making the choice to apply this benefit of being in the safe place. Because sometimes we can be in a safe place, but we have a yearning to be in another place. Amen? You ever been in that situation? You know, people get restless in a good place because they have a yearning or a tendency, or something's just not dead yet. Is there something in you that's just not dead? That you cannot be satisfied in the secret place? Let's review the benefit package. The benefit package includes this. It is God's ability to help you when you are in trouble. Amen? Amen. It is God's ability to keep you from trouble. Amen. And it's God's ability to help you through trouble. Yes. Because you know He doesn't move every trial. He doesn't move every storm. There are some storms where He's going to walk you through. And some storms are not going to work out so good for you according to a human viewpoint, but work out tremendously for you spiritually. And in those situations, where people pray and say, Lord, I prayed and my child died, or I prayed, my auntie died, my grandfather died. I prayed, Lord, and you didn't heal him. God, why didn't you heal him? It's because God has another plan. And in those situations where we don't understand, that's when trust comes in. And people who aren't in the secret place, they cannot trust God, even when it doesn't turn out the way they thought it would. See, in the secret place, you learn how to trust Him regardless of how He works out. Because in the secret place, you're protected and you're under His control. And He's going to move and guide your life. It's being transparent with your emotional strings. Here's the thing. When a situation comes up, when people do you wrong, you run to the secret place. When people say things about you, you run to the secret place. When people mistreat you, you run to the secret place. When people take advantage of you, run to the secret place. And see, what happens, though, is in the secret place, what we want to do is we're protected by God. Under the shadow of His wings, I am protected. Nothing can touch me. MC Hammer can't touch this. Don't. Can't touch this. But see, here's what happens. Though we are protected, we have emotional strings. So much so that we want to go and manipulate something, or something is said that still keeps us angry. Something is said that keeps hurting us. Something that is said that keeps us wanting to have revenge. Something is said that keeps us upset and frustrated. Something that continues to keep the fires of our emotional cauldron keep on burning and burning and burning and hot and hot and hot. And see, we're in the secret place. We run to the secret place, but we can't let it go. You prayed and prayed and prayed, but you're still not letting it go. Go in the secret place. In the secret place, you can let it go. Be aware and be honest of your emotional strings. Because if you're not, you can never find peace even in the secret place. Because in the secret place, you have to let it go. Some of us then never run to the secret place because we won't let it go. And so what we do is we come and we'll stand by the door. You know, just in case God needs me to tag team. You know, this is what we want to do. We want to see what he's doing. We want to see sometimes our peace in going in. To see if there's something that God wants us to do. To see if we can kind of jump back in and somehow in our mind mess it up. See, to be at peace and rest in the secret place, you have to be transparent about your emotional strings. And then next step, you have to then surrender that and release it. The surrender is not a one-time thing. The surrender is a continual thing. When that thing comes back to your mind, you release those folks. When that situation that happened comes back, you release that person. You let it go. You don't harbor it. You don't feed it. See, I've learned if I continue to think about it and hold it, then it happens and then I get an emotional reaction and then it becomes poison to me. How long have you been holding something and you wonder why you don't have peace? It's because you haven't let it go. Surrender. Be honest. Transparent about your emotional strings. And then go and find peace in the secret place. Unless you let it go, you can't enter the secret place. Because the strings of that stuff are wrapped around your legs and they keep you from going in. Because see, you can't go there and hold on to mess. And many Christians wonder why I don't have peace. Because you're holding on to mess. You're about to enter the secret place of the Most High God. Why in the world would I want to go abide and live someplace where there's a bunch of turmoil? That's not where I want to be. Surrender. Today, is there something you need to surrender? Is it a person you need to surrender? Is it a situation you need to surrender? Is it a failure you need to surrender? You need to cut the strings. See, it's not that the strings have you. It's just like you holding on to it. So basically, it's like you wrapping strings around your own leg that keep you in place, that keep you from having the peace that God wants you to have. Thou will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee because they trust me. You don't trust, you can't have peace. Why am I so messed up? Why can't I sleep? Why? Because you won't surrender and release. You think that their offense is too egregious. Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. And you think their offense is too egregious? What about yours? So. If we're going to enter the secret place, we got to make plans during the calm times of my life. Next, I need to understand that visitors just can't get to this place of protection. Next, I need to know that I need to make a choice to apply the benefit. It's there for me, but I have to make a choice to release it and give it to God. I have to learn how to retreat. I have to learn how to move back. I have to learn how to step back and get out of God's way. Number 4. In order to enter the secret place, I need to learn how to quiet my heart and rest. I need to learn how to quiet my heart and rest. David in Psalm 27:5. This is part of the scripture I quoted a few minutes ago. This is on the voice. Listen to this. This is just beautiful. His house, is my shelter. Okay, moving in. Okay, how can it be my shelter unless I move in? His house is my shelter and my secret retreat. It is there I find peace. In the midst of the storm and turmoil, safety sits with me. I'm sitting, and therefore safety sits beside me. Do y'all get this? Y'all see this? In the hiding place of God. And if I'm in the hiding place of God, what can touch me? Nothing. He will set me on a rock, high above the fray. Here's what you have to know. Because we're doing this, we get thrown off by the process. Well, God, they're not dead yet. You laugh. Sometimes we do want to see them dead. Amen? Oh, okay. We're going to teach you on spiritual lives, right? Sometimes you really want God to do them in because of what they've done to you. Don't get thrown off by God's process. Remember, release it. Find peace. Release it. Next, be still and look for his move. Notice when he told Moses, he didn't say, keep going and see what I'm doing. He said, stand still and see the salvation of our God. Stand still. Stand still. And then resist the pull to rejoin the fray. See, what happens is that stuff continually comes back up in our mind, and then you have to push it down. And every time it comes up, you got to push it down. It's a constant battle. It'll come up, push it down. It'll come up again, push it down. Don't re-enter the fray. And see, what God has to do is, God protects us from other people, but then God also has to protect us from ourselves. You ever see a child when strangers come around? Usually a stranger comes around. And usually it happens, with a mom. There's a little child. Sometimes it happens here. It's a child I don't know, a young child. And they'll be with their mom or dad, and I'll come up and say, how are you doing right there? What the child does? Runs and goes with their mom. And holds on, usually to their mom's leg. Or hold on to dad. They may look at you, but they're not going to do anything because they have such confidence in the protection of the mom or dad. And in the confidence of the mom or dad, they find peace in the secret place. Number 5. Stand, declare, and overcome. Stand, declare, and overcome. Look at our text. It's interesting here The psalmist is describing this situation with the Lord and describing the characteristics of the Lord and the names for the Lord that he uses. And then all of a sudden, he feels that he said, well, I will say. It's a declaration. Notice what he says. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in him I will trust. Now these two words, refuge and fortress, if you notice, like in Psalm 46, those are words that are common. And actually Psalm 46 uses the word, the Lord our God is my fortress. It uses the fortress, but it uses fortress in two different ways. It uses fortress in a military sense, but it uses a fortress in an escape sense. An escape sense in the sense of it's so high they can never reach it. And in another way, it's a refuge that it is so secure that no one can ever touch me. Here, these words, refuge and fortress, are two military terms saying that you're not going to get to me. The psalmist here saying that, you know what? When I'm in that secret place, when I position myself, when I let that other mess go, and when I focus and concentrate on God, and I move myself in that sphere, knowing and understanding the protection of God, I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge, he is my fortress, he is my God, and I'm going to trust in him. I'm not going to trust in myself. I'm going to trust in him. 3 subpoints. Number 1. See, in a situation like this, when we finally get here, the first thing you have to remember is that you can focus only on this event. Focus only on this event. Focus on this event only. See, what will happen is that the enemy will try to pull you into various situations and will try to get you to think about all the times in the past that you've been here, you said something, you didn't follow through, and now he wants to beat you up. Who knows what I'm talking about? He will try to take you back to your failures. He will try to take you back when times you didn't make it. He will try to tell you about who you are and who you aren't. The psalmist here says, I'm going to focus on this event. That was then, but this is now. You have to know that whatever you're going through right now, that this is now. This is different. You're a different person. You're in a different place. God wants to help you through this. Focus on this event only. Next. Make some noise and then strengthen yourself. Notice here, the psalmist is, we're talking, and all of a sudden, in the first person, first it says, he that dwelleth, that's third person. In other words, it's about someone else. Third person is like Joe or like Tina. Like you would be second person, like me. But I is first person. And so now he's saying, I'm the actor, I'm the one. I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. And here in this verse, he says, not the person, but I will say. Now he takes it personal. Now he owns it. Now he's saying, this is the where I stand. This is my position with the Lord. I am with him. He's going to help me. I find myself in him. I am disappearing that I might disappear and appear in his light. It's not going to be me, but you're going to see Christ that functions through me. How much better would your situation be if you let Christ function and you didn't? It's interesting. Isn't it interesting when, when we do the Pledge of Allegiance, or if anybody has taking the Pledge of Allegiance, as far as if they have been an immigrant and now they're a naturalized citizen. You know how they make you put a hands on a Bible, however they do it, and then they make you recite. Why do they make you say it out loud? Can't you just say it in your mind? Isn't it something how a declaration is seen, a vocal declaration is seen as a commitment? This is what we have here. It's a vocal declaration that not only informs everything else, you speak to the enemy. You say, I will say of the Lord. You say to yourself, I will say of the Lord. And in your spirit you say, I will say of the Lord. So not only is it declaring, but it's informing. Not only is it informing, but it is solidifying. Sometimes sometimes when you pray, you can try to pray in your head, and there's sometimes when it's just so heavy that you got to just speak out and pray out loud. Sometimes even reading, when you read something, you can't read it in your head, you have to read it out loud. It's something about reading it and then hearing it that adds strength to your experience. The psalmist here says, look, I can't do any more of that mental stuff. I will say of the Lord. He's speaking to the enemy. He's speaking to himself. And he's making some noise. And as a result of making noise, God is adding strength to his strength. Next, internalize your vow and solidify your confidence. So not only do you say it, you got to believe it. Let me end with this illustration. A man who lived in California left and traveled to go to a funeral of one of his dear friends. They were about the same age. And before the funeral, he had the opportunity to sit with the family because he was very close to the family. And as families do, the practice of families at times like this, they sit around and they start throwing around stories. And so the man who passed, his oldest son, and there was an informal gathering, and they were talking about things. He says, here is one of my fondest memories of Dad. He said, we were living in the Midwest at that time. And I had to be about 3 or 4. But I still remember the story. We were in the house, and the tornado was coming. And Dad warned everybody, and he found a low place in the house, and he threw a mattress on top of my mom and my 2 sisters, and we were all in this low place with a mattress on top of us. But Dad was standing by the window, looking and watching this thing approach. He said, I remember squirming out of my mom's arms because I all of a sudden knew something. And I ran to my dad. And I put my arms around his leg. I knew in my heart that being with my father was the safest place of all. And I grabbed his leg, and he grabbed me. The best place you can be is holding your father. But because we're human, and sometimes our grip isn't that good, or sometimes we get tired, the greatest thing about that relationship and that picture, that illustration, is that not only was the kid holding his father, but his father was holding the kid. Your father is holding you right now, and he will not let you go. The safest place during this storm is you holding your father. You can find a secret place wherever you are. It's not necessarily a place that you have to run away and find, but it's where you are with God and how you allow and how you think about God and how you will relinquish your rights to situations and give those to God. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge. He is my refuge, my strong tower, hidden away from everyone else. He is my strong tower where the military garrison themselves around me. In Him, I will trust. Let's pray.